Hey everyone. So no class, but I'll do my best to address everyone's questions from their vlogs. Kind of bummed because I was looking forward to talking about Lolita again, and I know we don't have discussion on Wednesday, so it's like another whole week until we talk as a group about it again. But that's okay. Just before I get to the questions, a couple things I wanted to address in class today. Were just some things I've noticed. So one of them is just how Humbert is so voyeuristic. And I don't really know if I have questions about that because it just seems like a fact. But it's becoming more and more prominent, I think, in that he wants Lolita to make friends to go swimming with so he can watch, which is weird. And when she's at the school and he's really excited that with binoculars from his house he can see to the playground, and then gets really bummed when they build to block that. It's just so creepy. You think he'd be happy with one little girl to watch. And then another thing is, it's become kind of obvious to me how little we know about Lolita. I mean, we only get what he sees of her and what he thinks of her. We really don't see that much of her, if that makes sense. And I know we do, like, she's the second most prominent character, but so much of this book is just inside his head, and often it just doesn't go very in depth of her character. And then we get those little windows of vulnerability when we know that he hears her crying when she thinks he's not listening and things like that. So, just some things I've noticed. So, let me get my paper. Amber's question about Humbert addressing the reader. I know she thinks it's uncommon. I've seen it a lot, but that's mainly because last semester I took 2 classes that dealt a lot with 18th and 19th century lit, and in so many of those there's reader blank, reader blank. There's so much direct address that this isn't surprising to me. And I think, Nabokov / Humbert, they are both very aware of those traditions because, well, Nabokov's a writer and a reader, so he would have read those, and then Humbert also was a scholar, and I'm sure he read lots of things like that too. So, I don't really know. I think I think it impacts me in that he's just appealing. It's like the quote I picked for my paper where he's reaching out, and I think he is attempting to make a personal connection there. I've noticed it maybe becoming coming up more often in the text. He's reader this, and sometimes multiple times in a passage. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's like desperation of, we're getting nearer to the end, and he really wants to get this appeal out. Maybe he's getting more desperate, but I don't know if he necessarily wants us to feel bad for him, because I don't really know how that would make us feel bad for him if he just like acknowledged us. But I think he definitely wants us to be included in his story so that we might just feel something for him, whether it's pity, whether it's we feel bad for him, whether it's we just understand that he's a human too. But that's a question I definitely think we would have a productive discussion around. And then Justin's question is Humbert happy? I hadn't really questioned that. And this passage stood out to me too, because just the fact that beyond happiness is in italics, it makes me a little suspicious. Because it again seems like he's trying too hard to convince us that he's happy. But at the same time, I think he's happy that he did get what he wanted and that he has his own personal, essentially like sex slave who looks exactly how he wants her to look. But I think it's more that he's coming to terms with, it seems like he has no idea what children are really like, especially teenage girls. Like, he doesn't say too many nice things about Lolita except for the way she looks, and it seems he's surprised that she's a brat or that she's selfish or that she doesn't want to have sex with him all the time. Um, and I think he's just struggling with that in himself. But I mean, obviously, they do way too many sexual things for him to be dissatisfied, I would say. So I think he's happy, but I also think he's kind of, he wasn't prepared for what he was getting himself into, because she really is the first younger girl he's ever had, because if Annabelle was real, they were the same age. So, and then Mykina on 153. I think the passages that characterize Lolita when she's being so charmed by like super banal things like toilet signs, I think that's just showing us how he is so, like what I said about Justin's question, I think he's just surprised that someone wouldn't find those things banal, if that makes sense. So, he's a mid to late 30s-year-old scholar from Europe. He's not going to be fascinated with toilet signs or, like later in the text, movies, and then he does not like her movie choices because they're not like intelligent enough, and he doesn't like her book choices because they're not smart enough. And I think that all links back into he just does not know what preteen girls are like. He just finds them attractive. So in this moment, I feel like we're getting more of a characterization of Humbert than we are of Lolita, because 12 or 13-year-old girl probably would think it's funny to see, different toilet signs. I don't know, it's immature. So, yep. I'm sure I could say more, but it's kind of hard to discuss with yourself. So, I guess I will see at least Steven, but maybe everyone on Wednesday, and I hope your migraine goes away. But yeah, have a good one, guys.